beautiful thing that the Torah tells us about man is that he's created in the divine image, which, for all the interpretations of what that's about, the most basic thing is that you can be home with God. You can feel at home with God. Because if you're in his image, that means you have a very profound and intimate connection with him. So what prayer actually becomes is the personal expression of what divine will is coming through us, which we then express back to him. So let me say this more simply. So when a person has a hope and a yearning, so it's not yet prayer. That's hope and yearning. But the awareness that I'm part of this creation and that the soul of this creation, which we call God, is aware and awake and looking to hear what it is the creation desires to move forward with, so that he and creation can be in partnership and together. So when we express that will to the divine, to God, so then his response is to move things in that direction. Because in a very real way, what he's looking for and waiting for is to be together with us in a joint project. This is a deep aspect of Torah, which is really less a book of law. It's full of stories and people and things happening. I mean, to call it a book of law is really to miss a lot of what's happening inside. What's really happening inside is a story of a relationship. And it's defined as Sefer Habrit, which really means the book of relationship. So when you realize, wait a minute, we're actually talking about a relationship. We're talking about a connection that leaves man not alone, but actually the main part that connects back to the origin of the universe, to the origin of creation, and partners with that origin, partners with that original will, partners with that original power and consciousness, which is God. So then the Torah becomes the book of this relationship, and our expression to God of what it is that we're yearning for and hoping for becomes our joining together with him in a joint project. So one of the really important things to understand about prayer is that it doesn't just take place in the normal state of mind or the normal emotional condition or the normal stance of, me talking to you or talking to someone else or in a regular kind of a rattly kind of conversation. And unfortunately, a lot of people actually who have a practice of prayer, unfortunately pray that way. They kind of rattle it off rather than preparing. Now, preparation, I would say, is the key to the answer to the question. Preparation, because what is required is to move yourself into a particular kind of a state in which, one, there's an expanded sense of self, meaning it's not just little old me sitting here. I'm part of a very big and broad world and experience of that. So that requires something which might be akin to simple sitting in silence, experiencing makom, which is place, to simply experience place, but to let that expand, not just into local space or place, into a broader and broader experience of I'm here together with all of this. I'm not alone. I'm part of a very big reality. Now, one can do that through simple silence. One can do that through melody. One can do that from reading some inspired writings from the Torah. One can do that also in a conscious conversation, which is intended to move towards that. And one can also do that taking a walk in nature. One can do it coming to synagogue, as long as you spend time coming to synagogue and don't just rush there, listen to the news on the way in the car, get out, walk in, and get to the liturgy. But rather, the rabbis have a teaching that a person gets a reward for his footsteps towards the synagogue. It's called schar psiot. So lots of people think that means, well, okay, I guess the longer I walk, the more reward I get. But that's not what it's about. What it's about is that when you walk outside and open yourself up, experience the dynamic, experience the vitality of your body, reflect upon that as being part of the vitality of this world, and then come in to, might be a formal practice of prayer, the siddur, the synagogue, or whatever it'll be. So then one comes in already with an expanded sense of myself as being part of this whole big creation. So that's first step, is expanding one's awareness. One of the ways the rabbis describe that is in one other step that's taken, and that is understanding that this creation has a personhood behind it, which is the divine, which is God. So then one moves into what the rabbis call seeing oneself as standing before the Shekhinah. Shekhinah, which means the divine presence, the capital P, presence that's fully present here. So if I've had a practice now of experiencing my presence here, then I can almost effortlessly move into my presence here, the divine presence here. So when I move into that modality, now is when I can begin to speak to God, to talk to Him, and to be more profoundly connected, rather than obviously standing outside with some kind of a rote interaction. Now, there are different methods. One, I listed a few: silence, song, just taking a walk outside consciously with that orientation. All of these are meant, the rabbis say, to lead to a certain kind of a joy. And they say in the Talmud that a person actually cannot pray unless they have simcha, unless they have joy. Now, what the rabbis mean by simcha is not that the guy's dancing around and being really exuberant, but rather simcha is a very, very inward state. It can also have those expressions. I'm not against them at all, but as an inward state, it's a very alive connection with existence, with life, just being there. Yeah. So when that happens, then one's heart gets opened, and then prayers begin to flow.